to Just Ask Johnny. This is our premiere episode, so before I get started, here's a quick rundown. Basically, this is an online advice show. You ask me questions, and I give you my advice based on personal insights and opinions. Now, what you do with that advice is totally up to you, but remember, every action has consequences, so if you don't like the outcome from using my advice, it's not my fault. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so our first question should be a fairly simple one here. Should I use Android or iOS? Which actually, this one comes from our Facebook page. It's from Mobley Unsure. Well, my opinion is personal preference. I like Android, but it really comes down to what you're going to do with the phone itself or your tablet, whatever you happen to be looking at this operating system for. Android, a lot more that you can do with it in terms of customization as opposed to iOS, which is fairly straightforward, cut and dry. But that's not without its advantages, because with that, you have the option to just make sure that everything's going to be streamlined, works, and you don't have to worry about anything kind of just messing up and going random on you. With Android, because it's a more open source format, there's a lot of little hiccups that can show up, and if you're not prepared to deal with that, could give you some trouble later on. But either way, personal preference, I like the Android because I like to customize more, bit of a tech head, but hey, what do you do? So that's pretty much that. Next question comes from issues with trust. So I looked at my phone the other day and found that it was in a random text conversation when I know that I left it on the home screen. In the past, there have been issues with my phone being snooped through, and I thought we were past this. I asked my girlfriend about this, and she denied it. I want to believe her, but find it hard since it has happened before. What should I do about this? It's kind of a loaded question. This can go one way or another with the outcome either way. What it boils down to is, do you trust her? Right? Because you got to look at it from the relationship standpoint. Is the trust even there? It's happened before. It may happen again. And once trust is broken, you're always going to have that paranoia. It's going to continue to happen, right? So with that, from what I know about phones, chances are, yeah, your phone probably was snooped through. They don't just go to random applications or anything like that, not without somebody helping them along. But then you have to ask yourself, are you sure 100% that you actually did put it back to the home screen and you weren't just messing with it, you bumped your thumb on an icon before you hit the lock or whatever the case might be. Going back to the relationship part of it, is the constant paranoia and state of distrust going to maintain a happy, healthy relationship? Because without open communication, that really can't happen. At least not from my point of view. If you don't have it, it's not going to work. So what you got to ask yourself is, are you able to move to a happy state with the way things are going to be as long as the communication channels stay open and you can actually rebuild that trust? Again, that's going to take time. But if not, I would definitely say that you got to ask, and if you don't like the answer, see if you can't move on. But again, that's me. Alright, so final question for this episode. Let's see here. This one comes from Never Home Alone. My husband and I recently purchased a new home, and since we have moved in, we have not had a night to ourselves. My mother-in-law came to stay with us and was supposed to only be 2 weeks, and that deadline has long since passed. How do I get her to leave without making it seem obvious that she is driving me nuts? There's really no way to do that one. As soon as you say anything, it's going to come down to, oh, well, now I have made myself a bother. And feelings will get hurt. Hopefully people can get over them if you go the route of, get out of my house. But it is your mother-in-law, which means my first bit of advice would be to talk to your husband. Get him on board with the whole idea, and then let him deal with his mother. If that doesn't work, you could always try the direct route and just talk to her, let her know how you feel. Again, communication, and you'll find this a lot of time with any of the relationship questions that we're going to end up having here. it all comes back to communication. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. If you can't talk to one another, can't talk to the people that you're around, people that you're hanging out with, nobody just intrinsically knows what you're thinking. So the only way to really do that is go right to it and talk to her. Let her know that you've got to move out, you've got to find a place. We really want to start our lives and move forward from here. Again, feelings will probably be hurt, but they'll get over them. Most people do. Okay. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for this week's questions. I hope I was able to help. If you want to leave a question, send an email to whynotjustaskjohnny@gmail.com, or you can like me on Facebook at Just Ask Johnny and send a message or post to the wall. Make sure to give a brief description of the actual circumstances. That way I can actually give some good advice. And also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so I can keep the advice rolling.